Once again, would like to lead off today's video by saying a big thank you and giving a shout out to those who have showed up over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, where it's only $1 per month. That's the only level. It's the lowest allowable level, and it's fully refundable the first 90 days. There are training videos that go back years, hundreds of videos that you'll have access to, and we can take the gloves off. It's very refreshing to be able to speak about things in an adult manner without having to censor ourselves. That's something we're going to have to do in this country to get out of the pickle that we're in. We're just going to have to tell it like it is and not be afraid of the consequences. The media, however, can't have that. They know of the 24 cognitive biases. They know of the 24 logical fallacies that if you're not trained in them, they will definitely use these to take advantage of you. Combined with the art of persuasion, it's critical on the 21st century battlefield to know how they're doing this. They are manipulating you. They're manipulating you in ways that most can't even see. Logos, of course, is the idea of just using numbers. Ethos is the idea of using personality. Believe them just because of who they are. And then pathos. Believe your feelings. Don't think. Just consult your feelings. What's the first thing that pops into your mind when you see an image like this? Do you even acknowledge that image? Do you think of the news? Do you think of information? Do you think of what's being said? Or do you think of what you're seeing? The truth is, most men, half the population, see images like this and they stop thinking completely. Everything that's said gets automatically believed. And just for reference, this is Ainsley Earhart. She's the girl who teaches the Bible study on Fox News. Let me say that again. The Bible study on Fox News. I want you guys to absorb that for just 1 minute. Still don't think you're being manipulated? Join us. We would love to have you. But in today's video, would love to also reveal something that I have been saying for 2 weeks. And this is more confirmation of the exact same thing. Governor DeSantis and I don't agree on everything. We agree on about 99% of things. But in a recent interview, he said, quote, the national regime media wanted Tampa to be hit by Hurricane Ian, not anywhere else, because, of course, it's a big city, a lot of people, and the damage to the infrastructure would have been huge, and it would have been negative news from Florida. You see, that's the key. And this is what I've been saying for a long time, when those first tracks came out of the tropical storm possibly hitting the Gulf Coast, they were already writing the books and interviewing people saying, what do you think your city is going to be like after Hurricane Ian destroys it? Are you going to be willing to live here, and will you still have such a positive view of Florida? Here's the governor's quote. Quite frankly, you have national regime media that they wanted to see Tampa because they thought that'd be worse for Florida. That's how these people think, DeSantis said. They don't care about the people of this state. They don't care about this community. They want to use storms and destruction from storms as a way to advance their agenda. They don't care about the lives here. If they can use it to pursue their political agenda, they'll do it. Now, who does that sound like? I've said that in 3 or 4 videos already. Now, think about that in the context of this image. This, of course, goes back years and years. The infamous Navy map that shows the destruction of the United States. And how could you possibly choose to live in Florida, Florida Maquis? Haven't you seen it? It's going to be completely underwater. Well, when you look at the actual map, it shows where I live being perfectly fine. Jacksonville, St. Augustine, all the way down to Daytona Beach, pretty much untouched. But people don't talk about that. And it shows places in Arkansas that are horrible, all the way north to Illinois. You see, this is the key. I'm not necessarily picking on Fox News in general. I'm picking on those who would take speculation and use it to evoke emotion instead of thought. Because these days we have a great many people that are just consulting one emotion and the next emotion and the next emotion, believing that they're thinking and then making decisions based on it. Now, this is an actual real picture. This was largely debunked many years ago, of something absolutely spectacular that also debunks it. Do you see this area right here off the southwest coast of Florida? That's all kind of more aqua. This is the watershed after the storm that they're seeing from space. This is the amount of fresh water that is draining off of the peninsula of Florida into the Gulf from Hurricane Ian. You can even see the remnants of the hurricane way up here and how much water was already draining. See, this idea of Florida ever being underwater completely is total bunk because of the way things drain away. Yes, we have plenty of lakes, and we have marshes, and we have swamps, and all that kind of stuff. But if you're high and dry, so to speak, in Florida now, you're going to be high and dry for quite some time. Barring a catastrophe on a global scale that would destroy everywhere else as well. So Florida would be no more worse off than anywhere else. But there is something coming. And it's something, pardon me one second here, that you really need to pay attention to. Amazon sends chilly signs about the economy. It's more than chilly. The e-commerce giant has just made a decision that suggests the health of the economy is not improving, nor will it anytime soon. Tech giants don't bring good news for investors. While the markets are looking for reassuring news on the health of the economy, Silicon Valley is only delivering very bad news, and you guys need to pay attention to this. Because these guys don't get it wrong. Say what you want about them. This kind of stuff, they don't get it wrong. They knew what was coming in 2020 because of the amount of people that were ordering cold medicines in late 2019. In recent weeks, red signals have been sent by Alphabet, Google, this platform, Meta, Microsoft, and also Amazon. Amazon has frozen hiring. Let me get down there. Amazon has frozen hiring. And Alphabet is actually cutting all sorts of tech jobs. Meta is freezing hiring, restructuring teams, which means getting rid of people. Quote, I had hoped that the economy would have more clearly stabilized by now, the CEO said, but from what we're seeing, it doesn't yet seem like it has, so we want to plan somewhat conservatively. Amazon. The e-commerce giant will freeze corporate hiring in its retail division, which includes online and physical stores, its marketplace for third-party sellers, and Amazon Prime, its subscription service. They're not even going to talk about hiring anybody new till 2023. I'll give you the link to this article, but they are withdrawing all job offers. You see, when presidents talk of things like Armageddon, that doesn't cause faith. That doesn't result in faith in the future for investors or anyone else. And this whole thing, I'm sure they're all patting themselves on the back about how well they did in Ukraine and how things are going fantastic. It has been an intelligence coup for the Chinese, and we're going to do this in another video, perhaps over at Patreon, by the way, because it's going to be somewhat controversial. You see, this has been a clinic in U.S. interference. See, this idea that Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary, makes this allegation that thanks to the skill of soldiers and strategic use of supplied weapons, isn't that exactly what Putin said was the case? Ukraine's not going to be NATO, but there was definitely interference there. This makes his whole point for him. And the Chinese have been able to sit back and watch exactly what the U.S. would generally do in Taiwan. They've been able to watch this. So, anyway, shocking doomsday maps of the world and billionaire escape plans. You know, there's 1,000 of these maps out there. And if the idea is just to make people afraid, that's one thing. But when you give people information that's disturbing, but then you couple it with tools to deal with it and make a good, thoughtful plan about it, that's a very different thing. That's a very, very different thing than this. Now, I know these days of Fox News are long gone, but people still believe and gravitate to Fox News because of this thing that was built into their brains a long time ago. It was a very dirty trick, but Don Henley warned of it. Go listen to the song Dirty Laundry again and see if it makes even more sense now. She can tell you about the plane crash with a gleam in her eye. It's interesting when people die. Give us dirty laundry. I think it's way worse than even Don Henley thought it would be when he wrote the song so many years ago. This does not evoke thought in half the population. It's just the case. Who would think of this? Seriously. And trust me, they've been trying to remake their image, but it isn't going to work. Logos, ethos, and pathos, the 24 logical fallacies, the 24 cognitive biases, you've got to know these. You absolutely have to know what reactance is. You have to know what the framing effect is, what the backfire effect is. You have to know, am I suffering from the no true Scotsman or appeal to authority? Many people think they know what these things are, but they don't know how they're being used in practice. That's what we talk about over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Would love to have you there. Once again, lowest allowable level, $1. Because I want as many people as possible to get read in on 21st century battlefield psyops. Because it is a battlefield now. Everybody has a phone, everybody has a laptop, everybody has some access to the net. Everybody. And these are the tactics they're using, the techniques they're using. They even hire military advisors to show them how to say things and how to frame things to make people believe a certain thing that may or may not be true. So have a great weekend. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.